the gateway to the Brecon Beacons National Park. The region is blessed with some of the UK's most spectacular landscapes and captivating history. It is an emerging epicenter for outdoor adventure and a launch pad for discovery and exploration. At the foot of the Brecon Beacons at the head of the valleys lies an opportunity for something undeniably significant. We have a plan to transform the region into something truly remarkable. Rhydycar West is a proposed all-year-round leisure destination and holiday resort, where the great outdoors meets the great indoors. A 400-meter multi-slope indoor snow centre, the longest in the UK, suitable for leisure to international professional guests. A state-of-the-art indoor tropical water park. A fully immersive indoor adventure centre. A sport hotel, luxury accommodation and spa. Woodland lodge experiences. Heritage trails, nature treks, high rope courses and much, much more. The Rhydycar West vision is destined to transform the region and attract visitors from around the UK and beyond.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can I thank you all for coming along tonight to the College Merthyr Tydfil. My name is Paul Gray. I'm the Chief Executive at Tydfil Training, part of the executive team here at the college. I'm not employed by the Rhydycar West team. I'm just your host for tonight. So please, when we get to the Q&A, don't feel that I'm going to be looking for easy questions for the chaps today. A few domestics just before we start. There are toilets available just behind the main stand here. We have no fire alarms planned for this evening, so if they do go off, and let's hope they don't, it's a poor night for that, but if it does go off, then the assembly point is just outside the front of the building. I'd like to introduce the team from Rhydycar West. So on my left here, we have Andy Coleman, the Chief Financial Officer. In the middle, we have Ali Tyebkhan, the Chief Executive Officer. And on the furthest left there, we have Peter Waldron, who's the lead planning consultant. So before we get to the question and answer session tonight, we have a few presentations that we'd like to run for you. So if I can start then by asking Ali just to, Andy, it's not bad. I told you I wasn't paid, you can see why not now. I'd like to ask Andy just to do a brief introduction before we move on to Ali. So thank you very much, and over to you, Andy.
Can everybody hear me so I can walk around? All good? Yeah. Hear me at the back? Excellent. I thought it might be helpful just to do a couple of minutes before we get into the extraordinarily exciting technical presentation. I thought it might be helpful just to go back a little bit and just give a little bit of context as to where we have got to and what the application is about. So we have owned the land since 2013. And 2013, 14, 15, we went into a rather informal consultation process around what do you guys want on the land? You know, what's required? Give us some ideas of what we could do with it. And the range, I think we got to a nigh on 100. Right, really did nigh on 100. And the obvious ones, like a petrol station, simple. To a Laura Ashley museum, slightly more obscure. And so a number of ideas you can think of the obvious ones around a hotel. Again, more obscure, a wave park, so the one that we've already got up north. And then kind of a couple of years into that, a chap called Robin Keller. So Robin, you probably can't notice him because he's got a really bright red jacket on, sitting right in the middle. Robin Keller came along, he knocked on the door and he said, right, chaps, have you thought about putting a ski slope on your mountain? No, we haven't, Robin, but that's definitely one for the melting pot. So why a ski slope in Merthyr. I've been looking around Wales for 10 years to try and find somewhere which has the right topography, the right access off the 470 off the new road with the new metro. Things are starting to come together. This could be, from an access perspective, a topography perspective, somewhere for Snow Sport Wales to base their activity, right? So this will now be the headquarters for Snow Sport Wales. Kind of interesting, but why can't you use the other 8 that are across the UK? Well, can't use the other 8 that are across the UK because they're too short. 180 metres, 200 metres, and we really need it to be 400 metres. Okay, why do you need it to be 400 metres? If it's 400 metres, we get a little stamp, FIS stamp, right? It becomes accredited. It becomes accredited as a ski slope, which means that we can hold international competitions. It might be entry level, but we can hold international competitions. We can hold international ski competitions in Merthyr. Yeah, we can. Okay, so now that this is starting, we're starting to push the boundaries of this is slightly more interesting. And what else? Well, so we'll use it as the headquarters. What about Team GB? Yeah, and Team GB. And the Paralympic team. And the Paralympic team. Okay, right, so now this becomes interesting. Also in the melting pot, we've been speaking to ministers and others around challenges we have with tourism. Right, so we get 4 million visitors to the Brecon Beacons every year, and a too high percentage of that 4 million come past Merthyr, go to the Brecons, and go back out again, right? Because the quality of the accommodation isn't quite there, and there's not enough of it either. So to start to think about a ski slope with a range of hotel accommodation. Let's make sure we put 3-star, 4-star, 5-star in. We don't want it luxury, we want to make sure that we can cater for everybody. So 3-star, 5-star, 3, 4 and 5-star. Okay, so now we start thinking about a ski slope. So who does this already? Is this a proven concept? Snow World in Holland already run this kind of concept, right? So they and ski teams use it because of the quality of the training sessions that they provide. So our teams in the UK are going over to Landgraf. Landgraf coincidentally was built on a coal tip, right? And they've put a resort around it, and people go there instead of the Milton Keynes concept of just go for a couple of hours. You go, you stay, you use, you go back the next day, right? Because it's long enough to be able to do that. So you're now talking about some concept of a resort rather than just saying at the weekend, what can we do to make it even more of a resort, right? So we can use some really clever tech. I'm assuming everybody's put their hand on the back of the fridge, right? It's warm, yeah? So the energy that we'll be using to cool down the ski slope, let's think about how we can really efficiently use that to do something else. You can use it to warm the water of the hotel, because that's what you do, right? Clever tech. It means you get heat exchange and you use it for the hotel. Can we go further than that? And one of the challenges of running a resort around a ski slope is, regardless of the fact that it's indoors, what's the season that everybody goes to the ski to practice skiing, right? When? Which season? It's the winter. Right? It doesn't matter that it's indoors, but everybody wants to go skiing in the winter. So what can we do to make it attractive for the summer? Let's put a water park off the back of it and heat the water park using some really clever heat exchange tech. Okay. So now we're building this resort where people are going to want to come and stay, but still celebrate. This isn't a centre park, so we can close the door, right, on the Saturday. You invite them in, close the door and let them out on the Saturday afterwards. There's too much to celebrate here. We've got the castle, right? We've already got Bike Park. We've got Zip World. Right? So let's think about let's build something which is a hub for, and if they want to stay for the week, they can stay for the week. Great, use it as a centre park. But if you want to use it to go and celebrate what else is around, then you can do that. So let's put an adventure centre on it as well, right? So get the full package of that resort component and a hub for not just the immediate region, but I think this could well be a hub for the whole of South Wales. It's so critically important to provide that. 15% of the area we're using for development. So what we're doing with the other 85, there are eight ancient monuments on the site. Think about how we can start to use that. We've got people using it to walk their dogs, who just like to use it as a walking area. Right? It's tricky. It's tricky. The trees blow down. We've got the land manager here. He's out constantly maintaining the land. That maintenance is going to go from this level to that level. Once we've got the 85% will now become accessible for all of the chaps that are using it now, and you can't access 85% of it. So we're going to broaden that horizon. We're going to open up the site. We're going to celebrate what all of the monuments are on there. We've committed to protect them. Right? So now we're adding value from a caddy perspective, from an NRW perspective, from a truck transport perspective, from a coal perspective. And that's why, and that's how we got to put the application in 18 months ago, and that's what it's all about. That's the history behind why we've done it. So the application has been in for 18 months. I think it was a very good application. It's now an extremely good application. And Ali will talk you through why it has moved from where it was 18 months ago, a good application, to a very, very good application. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, everyone. Is that loud enough? Can you all hear me at the back? Excellent. So I'm going to pick up where Andy left off, and the presentation is also the handout that you have with you. And I'm going to start by taking you through the elements of the development, the scheme, and then talk a lot about the planning journey, and in particular the things that we've done and where we are in that process, and then come back in to re-summarize some of the benefits and other aspects of the scheme. So if we start off first, there are a number of different elements: indoor snow centre, indoor and outdoor adventure park, tropical water park, and different levels of hotel. We've also got woodland lodges. I'll come on to those a little bit later. Key facts. I think a few things to talk about here. Andy's talked about the 400 metre and how that's game changing from a snow centre perspective. But I think let's take a moment to look at the jobs there. Now, we're looking at circa 1,500 direct employment during the construction period. Majority of those from the local catchment area. We actually believe that those numbers are a little bit underestimated, to be honest, because they are calculated based on planning metrics, not necessarily exactly based on kind of what contractors would think. And then we're looking at long-term employment as well, over 800 jobs. And we're talking about jobs from management level, CEO level. The overall resort needs a general manager, etc., all the way down to different skills. For example, we're going to have a spa in there. You can see there's a great hair salon here. We've got programs and things at the college. We're already working with the college, which is one of the reasons we chose the venue this evening. We have an MOU with them. We're really excited about those pathway opportunities, training opportunities. Similarly, we have an MOU with Tydfil Training. Looking at some of the numbers here, it's about a 300 million capital investment. And the GVA, that is sort of the turnover that will be generated annually, is about 38 million. That's about double the Principality Stadium. So that just gives you an indication of the level of this from an economic perspective. I think the other interesting fact on the bottom here is that Zipworld, there was an article a couple of months ago, has had a direct and indirect impact about 1 billion on the North Welsh economy in the last decade. Now that's fantastic. And that's without the same level as accommodation that we have here, and without all these sort of different elements. So I think we can make an even bigger impact here. And I think the regional impact of this is really important. We've been talking to all local councils, neighbouring councils, Cardiff Capital Region, Welsh Government, etc. And we really see this as a regional hub here, particularly for the Northern Valleys, where there are opportunities to get involved with this project, and there's lots of indirect benefits as well. This is just a bit of a recap again of the elements. We also have a conference centre, about 150 people. We can also use that for weddings and other functions. I'll explain where these are on the plans when we get to them. I'll go very quickly through this because you're all from the area, so you know exactly where it is. And then if we can go to the next one. So this is sort of a zoomed out area, and the area that we've marked there in red is the development area. That is about 75 acres. The overall area, the land area, is, as we said, about 550 acres. So we're developing 14% of it. And out of that 14%, only about half of that is built area, as we'll show you as we come through onto the other ones. This is some further information about transport links, etc. We can go on to the next one. So again, Robin, who we just introduced a little while ago, it was actually Alan Owen, the Deputy Chief Exec, that introduced Robin to us a number of years ago. And as we said, he'd been looking for a site for this for an extended period. This will be the home and training headquarters. And if we go on to the next slide, again for GB. So I think of this as the Millennium Stadium for snow sports for the UK in Merthyr. I think it'd be a fantastic thing for here, not only locally, but also for the region. We talked about Snow World before. We work very closely with Snow World through the planning process. One of the questions we always have is, how are you going to fund it and who's going to operate it? So before we even started putting in the planning application in earnest, I went out to the market, talked to investors. We've had a core investor on for an extended period, and we have more than enough investment to take us through. As we conclude the planning process, we're then going to be finalising our investment and choosing the partners to go through. We funded all of this ourselves. We've not taken any money from anywhere else. We funded it as a business from inception, and we'll bring on our investment partners that we've earmarked once the planning comes through. In terms of the operations as well, there are not that many snow centres like this throughout the world, and Snow World are the largest operator in Europe. They've been doing this for about 30 years. They have 8 centres, and I think they're probably still the largest per square metre of indoor snow under management globally. So we onboarded their design team. So we brought on their architects, we had their board to design it, and we are building sort of that model, but a more resorty concept. So although the snow centre is one of the key sort of attractions here, the water park is a fantastic element and something that is really great for all the family, different levels. If we move on to the indoor and outdoor adventure centre, we have some really good ideas there. And again, a partner I won't mention, but you can probably guess, we've been talking to for a very extensive period, and they do a lot of adventure stuff here in this area and also elsewhere in Wales. The hotels, as I said before, we're looking at different categories. It's about 428 rooms in total. We call them wings at the moment. So the resort wing will be sort of a family 4-star. The sport and leisure, 120 rooms, and the smaller one will be the sort of upscale 100 rooms. Within that, we would have a number of F&B outlets. So we provided for between 8 to 10 of them, different levels. So there can be sort of local cuisine, and then from sort of, more for sort of family dining, of course, places to grab and go and things, but lots of opportunities for local businesses to get involved with those things. Also, we'll have associated retail there. So, for example, people want to come and go swimming, somewhere to buy swim gear and rubber rings, that sort of thing. And again, for the other sort of elements as well. The lodges, we've got a fantastic site with existing woodland, and we're putting the lodges in the woodland. I've been to many developments where they actually have to build these things. They're putting lodges and they have to plant trees. It takes 20, 30 years for them to come up. We already have the mature setting for that. So these will be very low impact lodges. Looking at the plans there, so that's a snow centre there, about 400 metres. And just to the left of it, if you go to the left of the snow centre there, right, that is a snow play area. So this is something that's really successful in places now increasingly. So I live in Dubai, and that's really, really fun. They've got sort of zorb balls and toboggan runs and that sort of thing. And the ones that are coming up now have more of those elements. That, although it looks small, is 4,000 square metres. Okay, that's a big area. The water park is B there. C is the indoor and outdoor adventure centre. So C and then H, again, the indoor and outdoor adventure centre, about 3,000 to 4,000 square metres. And then the hotels, D, are the resort wing. And we've actually segmented them into 2, because one could be maybe more of a long stay. So, for example, for teams or school trips or that sort of thing. And one could be slightly different. And then we've got the F, and which is the sport and value wing, and then the luxury wing at E. I think the thing to understand about this as well, and this came from the design and onboarding guys like Snow World and their team and their commercial experience, is it's all sort of connected. So if you're in the resort and you're staying here, you don't have to go outside. It's all internal to you. But if you're coming in just for the day and you want to go to the pool, or you want to do one of the activities, you can come in or go to the restaurants, you can go in and do that. If we move on to the next slide, Lynn, and these are some visuals, and we can see here, just to orientate you, you can see where the entrance is at Rhydycar there, and just to the right-hand side, the leisure centre down there, and the police station just up there, yeah. And if we go down just all the way to the left, we pan all the way to the left, Lynn, there the lodges are there. Out to the left there is Bike Park Wales. So we basically bought a Bike Park Wales, and we've been talking to them for a long time, and this is all about creating synergies with existing businesses, not just locally, but in the region. and adding things that are complementary to that. Here is a view from the other side of the valley, and again you can see the leisure centre on the right-hand side there, and the industrial park just there to the left. And if we go on to the next one, and here's a good sort of aerial scene where you can see that. You can see Helgerig up there at the top. That's a good mile away. So I think a lot of people have always wondered where is this located, etc. All of that you can see is going to be not only remain as it is, a green space and open, but it's going to be upgraded with better trails, better walking trails, etc., and facilities like that. I'll come on to that a little bit later. If we go on to the next one, Lynn. So here, the main thing I want to sort of show you here is two other important access points. So if we go down to the bottom there's an underpass which comes out at Pitwood House, if you're familiar with that, and that links there onto the Taft Trail. And it will be very close to where the new metro station at Abercannade is. The other thing we've worked together with the council already on is that route coming in there on the underpass. Just go back down to the bottom, thanks, Lynn. We've already dedicated that as a cycling and walking track to access the Merthyr tunnel. So that will serve as access for that, and again promote active travel and other activities on the site just for everyone to use them, particularly people who are local. If we go up to the top as well, you may be familiar that there is a overpass over the A470 that basically links our site and comes out just by the police station there, and you can turn right, go down to the leisure centre, or left to come down here into the town centre. We're going to be upgrading that, lighting it, etc., and making that much better access. So again, the connectivity into town. I don't know what you guys think, but certainly when I go with my family and we go on holiday, we like to get out and explore the town. So if we're staying there for a few days, we'd like to walk into town, have something to eat, have a drink, have a look at the shops. So that's exactly what this is sort of designed to do. This shows the entry into the site here, and this we have a very big space, sort of piazza, where we could have events, whether it could be music festivals, etc. Here we have an inner courtyard, if you can just sort of circle that, so the conference centre, then you can put your cursor there, and an inner courtyard as well for private events, things like weddings, conferences, that sort of thing. So this is a quick tour around. The level of support we received nationally has been significant. So, as I said, letters of support from Blaenau Gwent, Cardiff, etc. In addition to that, you may have seen Dawn Bowden MS and Gerald Jones MP, their statements in the summer supporting this. We've also had statements locally as well. And this just gives you kind of an indication of the organisations, from businesses to local to neighbouring councils. And again, Cardiff Capital Region, big supporters of this as well. We've been talking to them for an extended period. Right, onto the planning bit. So this is the bit that gets a little bit more technical. So I think the main thing is this is a big application and it's substantial. And on a big application, you expect there to be challenges. And we worked really hard over the last 22 months. We put this in March 2023. The planning application is 5,500 pages plus. So that's without maps and this. So it's a chunky piece of work. And we've been doing technical work on this land since 2015. So we've been in ecological surveys on this since 2015. And the reason we needed to work so hard with that is everyone who has owned this land in the past, the only thing they wanted to do, so the previous owners, Merthyr Village Limited, before that, Celtic Energy, before that, National Coal Board, the only thing anyone has ever wanted to do was open cast a site. When we came into the ownership, we had to do a lot of work to figure out how to build on there without extracting the coal. So we put in all that work over a number of years, and I'm really pleased to say we have no objections from Welsh Government or any statutory or non-statutory consultees. And those 19 areas there are the 19 chapters or topics in our planning application. So for all of these elements here, we have no objection. And I'll go on to explain now in the next few slides some of these key ones. So on greenhouse gas and emissions, from day one, we'll be net zero because we're signing up to green tariffs, that sort of thing. We're going to be sourcing locally. So our embedded carbon is much lower than elsewhere, using local work, local employees, local materials as much as we can. And in addition to that, Andy talked about the fridge example. Just with that, we've reduced our energy consumption by 92%. On top of that, we're working, and we have an MOU with a company called DST Battery, who are doing a lot of things with the Welsh Government. They have very cutting-edge technology on solar panels, essentially. And these are not the bright, shiny things that you might imagine from some time before. We can color them so they blend in with the background. We can put them on the cladding, on the front of buildings, on the windows around there. You know, my personal ambition here is how to get as low to self-sufficiency as possible with this site. And I think, you know, we're at 92%, we're already a long way there, and there's more to do. In addition, you know, there's other new technologies that are coming out that are being suggested to us. So I think, you know, we've had this confirmed. I'm very pleased to confirm that Merthyr Planning have also said that they're satisfied and have no concerns from a greenhouse gas emission, climate change, etc., sustainability point of view. So if we can move on to the next section, transport. So again, active travel, extremely important, right? How to create accessibility to the site. We mentioned at number 1, the overpass over the A470, and at number 2, the underpass there by Pitwood House down at Abercanade, and the links we're showing in there to the existing sort of TAF trail and the cycling trails, etc., and the vehicle access point as well. So if we go down to the next one, Lynn. So this models the junction, the Rhydycar junction. This is post-development, right? Modeling the number of visitors. We're projecting about 1 million visitors a year. And we've taken a very worst case scenario, and this is based on worst case scenario. And we modeled it, and this is the conclusion here. If we can go on to the next one. And of course, you can read these at your leisure and ask questions afterwards. Active travel has been very important. I've even had discussions with Great Western Railways and talking to them about how do we bundle train tickets with stays at the resort. So people get on the train on a Friday, work on the train, spend the weekend, go back on a Monday, and, you know, fantastic, and they get the weekend sort of away. Shuttle bus. So we have a free shuttle bus that we will put on, which will take people from the town centre to the, and we'll run between the town centre, the rail station, bus station, onto the site. It'll be done to coincide with train times, etc. We're hoping the metro will be done by then, and, you know, that will be fantastic in terms of increasing timings, etc. Then on to the next one. And so again, Welsh Highways, we confirm they have no objection from a transport perspective, and we have a very detailed TA and travel plan. On to the next slide. Parking and emergency access. We provisioned all of that as well. Our most recent meeting with Merthyr Planning was on the 4th of October. They confirmed emergency access was acceptable, and a long time before that, South Wales Police and Fire and Rescue did the same thing. If we go back, Glenn, and then also no additional car parking is required. We have, however, been told that we might be asked for additional information on parking management, shuttle bus, active travel. I'm not entirely sure what is needed, but anyway, so that we've covered that there just to make it clear that we're still waiting for final confirmation from Merthyr Planning that they don't need anything else here. But as far as we're concerned, we've done the work, and we put in all the detail. If we move on to the next one. So triple SI, we have a triple SI. There's no, we've been very open from that from the beginning. And as you can see, the triple SI is the dark green there. So if you can imagine the snow centre, so the first thing we did when we designed this is to try and design it at a place to have as limited impact as possible on the triple SI. Now, the issue with the snow centre is we need the hill. That's what makes it work. We can't run it up the valley. And so there's a section of triple SI there, which represents 3% of the triple SI, which we will be building on. So in order to do that, what we have done essentially is we have secured land, a Blancanag farm, which is just to the left there, about 40 acres, where we'll be mitigating and compensating. So in the end, what we will deliver is a net gain in biodiversity. So the biodiversity on the site will be better with the development compared to where it is today. If we can go on to the next one, Lynn. We've minimized it. So we basically minimize the impact on the species and the fauna that's there. And as I said, we're leaving 86% of the land untouched and be upgrading that. And if we go on to the next one, NRW, and we worked with them very hard, have not objected to the development and confirmed that they're happy with the development. And you can read the quote, I'll leave you to read that. That's from NRW, from the letter that they've, and that's also on the Merthyr Planning portal. It's posted there too. So we're very happy with that because we collaborated with them very fully since 2015. We are disappointed, however, that Merthyr College have opted to object to the development. So anyway, that is what it is, but we are disappointed by that given NRW's position as the national statutory body. So another thing that's, I think, important to understand from a planning perspective is there's something called a stepwise approach. So this relates to building on ecologically sensitive land, particularly SSI. So what it says is you need to have a development that is wholly exceptional. Now, what does wholly exceptional mean? Wholly exceptional, there's no statutory guidance on it at all. It's basically more of, will it deliver a benefit in general? And we have recent case law on this, basically saying that it doesn't mean that it needs to be unusually rare or there needs to be a high test, just that there needs to be some benefit. And this was a case that involved a wind farm, where there was some benefit because they were upgrading some of the ecology on there, and there was some green energy benefits. But I think if you look at our scheme, and if anyone looks at it from just a kind of common sense, general sort of layman point of view, it is exceptional in terms of the job creation, the National Centre of Excellence, training headquarters, the level of investment, the GVA, and also the transformational effect this is going to have on the town as well. We expect people to be coming into the high street, creating footfall there, because that's exactly what developments like these will do. And we think the indirect and ripple effect is going to be extremely powerful. I mean, the conversations that I've been having over the past year or so with neighbouring boroughs like Blaen and Gwent is, yeah, we're looking at putting a hotel as well. Can we put a hotel in so we can link up with you? So people can stay over there, and then people who stay here can go visit and see the attractions over there. And that's similar around the surrounding boroughs with others, sort of RCT, etc. And you know, we can forward after this. I think we've got all your contact information, the letters of support we received from some of the neighbouring councils, and you can see what they're saying in their own words about what they think the economic impact and the transformational effect for the Northern Valleys and South Wales will be. So first test is it wholly exceptional? Second test is, have you minimised input on the SSI and damage? And the answer to that is yes, and NRW confirmed that. The third test is, have you a clear mitigation strategy? Are you mitigating, compensating? And again, we've done that with the compensation, and again, we'll be upgrading the rest of the site as well from a ecological perspective. So this is a stepwise approach. So where do we get to with that? On to the next slide, Lynn. NRW have not objected, so from their perspective, they're happy. Unfortunately, the local planning authority have said they need to make the decision about whether this is wholly exceptional. And surprisingly, although we believe that it's wholly exceptional based on the text and the case law, Merthyr Planning have said they don't believe it is. I'll just leave that there. We're not sure why. We weren't really provided with any reasons. So let's go on to the next section. History and heritage. So we're really passionate about this. When we acquired the land and I really got involved in what we were doing around development, we had 2 scheduled ancient monuments on the site. I worked with CADI to schedule another 6. And these are the monuments listed there. If we go on to the next one, and as you can see, we have built the development around these to champion them, and we've integrated them into the development. And what we work with CADI on, if we can go to the next slide, Lynn, is to create a heritage trail. And what this heritage trail will do is enable people to walk around here and channel them back into the town centre, to Cyfarthfa Castle, and where really that whole sort of central core of, and we've been talking and working closely with the Cyfarthfa Foundation for some time now, because we think this is fantastic. This is, you know, our visitors can channel visitors into that, and you know, it's a fantastic thing to do. And so this will be sort of interpretation boards, that sort of thing. We'll be making it a lot more accessible for people to be able to do that, and again, linking back into the town and all the other wider regional heritage attractions. If we go on to the next one, so CADI and GGAP have not objected, and in fact, CADI have said that the development will provide a benefit to the heritage aspects. A lot of these monuments are in disrepair and need stabilisation and that sort of thing, and that's exactly what we're going to deliver, and the development enables us to do that and preserve these for future generations. LDP and planning policy, and this is local LDP and planning policy. So Merthyr's policy states that we're not inside the LDP, right? We're outside the LDP, but development in the LDP is acceptable for tourism and leisure. So policy SW4, we tick the box. A development minimises environmental impacts. Also, we tick that box. As I said, NRW confirmed that there's no objection, and in fact, what we're doing is creating a benefit, a net benefit, and we're improving the environmental state of the site. And if we move on to the next slide, the final policy question here is a sequential test. Now, what the sequential test is why on this site and why not somewhere else in Merthyr? So we've had suggestions that we should put this in the town centre. I think we're very, very hard to find a site of this. In fact, there is no site. And the other interesting thing that we were asked at the last meeting by Merthyr Planning was to look at alternative sites across the whole of Wales. No specific site was suggested, but I'll turn it back to, right at the beginning of this sort of presentation. Rob and Kellen looked for 10 years for a site that works, that could be strategically located, that had the right topography, and this is the site. So why we're being asked to look elsewhere, we're really not sure. So again, Merthyr Planning objected on policy grounds, but again, we don't believe that is really a justifiable objection. We don't really understand it. So in terms of where we are with Merthyr Planning, we've explained before, there were 19 ticks for statutory and Welsh Government consultees. Merthyr have confirmed 9 ticks. If we go to the next slide, we are waiting 22 months in still for final comments on 4 items. And on the last 2, we have some objections, as I mentioned, on policy and also ecology grounds as well. So that wraps up the summary of the sort of the planning stage and the status, etc. I hope that was helpful. I like to say this over and over again: no coal will be extracted. Right? Our whole business plan has, from the start, from the outset, was be how to create a sustainable development on there and a leisure resort development. And I think what I'll also say to that, I get asked sometimes, well, there's a lot of coal on there, you're going to have to take some off when you build. Well, actually, this was where the engineering work that we did right from the beginning came in. So we had engineers figure out how to basically rebalance and move things around on the site so that we have what we call a cut and fill balance. So essentially what we're going to do, the A470 spoil tip, we have a huge spoil tip on there that was basically, earth and whatever that was chucked onto the land when they built the A470. We're simply going to move that around, regrade it, and we create our development area. So we're looking at a situation now where we don't have to take anything off, and we don't have to put anything on. And coal can be reburied, and that's exactly what we'll do. So those are the plans from that perspective. There's a bit more detail there. Talked about regeneration a lot, and I think there's a number of fantastic things that have happened from a regeneration perspective. Merthyr College, the success of that, we're standing in one. The Red House was a great success. It'd be great if businesses like ours, and we understand that's closed now, could be the catalyst to creating sustainable kind of longevity to those sorts of things. If we go on to the next one, and then again some similar examples sort of in the borough. So just to recap again, no objections from any statutory, non-statutory consultees. Just a quick recap on the jobs and some of the numbers, and we can move on to the next one. And here, as you can see, some of the major benefits here from a health and well-being perspective. I mentioned the MOUs we signed. We signed an MOU with a number of Merthyr town centre businesses, basically to figure out how we can advertise and send people into their business to buy things or have experiences or have a meal, etc. And the ripple effect is going to be absolutely phenomenal. You've seen that from the statistics from Zipworld in North Wales, and there's evidence for that. And I think you've seen that with Bike Park Wales as well. I mean, the success there has been fantastic. It's absolutely full. You need to book weeks ahead if you want to get in at the weekends. So we move on to the next one. Again, further facts, I'll leave you to look at these at your leisure. I think we'll move then on to the next slide then. Perfect. So in terms of planning submitted, we're really hoping we get a decision this year. I mean, as far as we're concerned, we've done the work. We've answered all the queries that came in. When we first put in the application, we had comments back from consultees last year in May. We came back with additional information, etc. So from our perspective, we think we're done. So we're hoping that this will be this year. In terms of the construction period, so pre-construction, we need to do our reserve matters, our detailed planning. Basically, that's additional sort of architectural work, interior design, stuff like that. A lot of that we've actually front-loaded. So, for example, and you can see down there's a scale model if you'd like to have a look at it afterwards as well. With an outline planning application, normally what you do is you don't fix the location of the buildings. We've done that already. So a lot of that work way ahead. So our estimate is, our consultants telling us 9 to 12 months, basically some detailed design work, and then we start the construction in earnest. It's about a 3-year build. We would do it all in one go. People have always asked, would you phase it? This works as a resort. So 3 years is doing it all in one go. So that brings us to sort of resort opening at that time. So yeah, that is an overview of the scheme, the development, and the planning journey. So I'll leave it now for Q&A. Thank you.